Chapter 9, Destiny Islands. Will I really get to meet you? Is the one you'll meet really me? The girl you knew from the islands. It was me, but another me. I don't exist anywhere. I'm nobody. Or maybe I'm just a thing. If I can meet you on that island, something might change. But the me that you'll meet there is a different me. A false me. If I can meet you, Sora, will something change? When they stepped into the marble hall, it felt terribly cold. There was so much Sora had to think about. What was Vexen trying to tell me? Why did Axel eliminate him? Why can't Riku go back to normal? What's it mean that his fate is to sink into the darkness? Sora, said Donald, worried, but he didn't reply. Goofy patted Donald's shoulder and shook his head. The three of them walked to the next door. Hey! Suddenly realizing something, Sora stopped in his tracks and turned back. What is it? Said Goofy. Sora stuck a hand into his pocket and started rummaging. I thought so! We're out of cards! The door in front of them looked the same as all the others, so it probably wouldn't open without a card. Vexen had given him the card for the last world, and before that, who had given him the cards? Doesn't that mean we're at a dead end? Said Donald. Just then, another voice spoke at Sora's back. If you go any farther, you'll hurt Namine. Sora turned, but of course, he'd already recognized the voice. Riku. You still want to fight? Sora held the Keyblade ready. But Vexen's gone! You're free now! At least he thought Vexen had been controlling Riku. So with Vexen gone, Riku should be free. With his sword raised, Riku spoke slowly. I'm protecting Namine from you. That's what's in my heart. We can protect her together! Cried Sora. But Riku didn't move, only kept glaring at him. I'm the one who's keeping her safe. I made a promise to her. You did? No, I promised her, Sora thought. He lowered the Keyblade. There was a meteor shower one night when we were little, Riku began. Namine got scared and said, what if a falling star hits the islands? So I told her, if any falling stars come this way, I'll protect you. Goofy spoke up first. But that story's the same as Sora's. What are you talking about? Riku raised his eyebrows. You made a promise? With a toy sword? Sora asked, all uncertainty. What? How do you know about that? Riku shot back. That's what I'd like to say, thought Sora, and then his voice rose. Because that was the promise I made to her that night. I said I'd protect her. That night, with those shooting stars falling around the islands, I promised to Namine. Promise? I promise. He could remember their voices saying those words so clearly. I'm the one who made that promise to Namine. Stop lying. You weren't the one there that night, Riku said fiercely, swinging his sword in empty space. You're the one who wasn't there, and she gave her good luck charm to me. Her what? This! Sora reached into his shirt and showed him the Palpu fruit pendant, that yellow star-shaped fruit made into the good luck charm that Namine had treasured. How did you get that? Why do you... Oh, good try, Sora. Riku took a step closer to him. Huh? That must be a fake. I've got the real one right here. Riku took out a pendant, a charm made from a Palpu fruit, exactly the same one as Sora held. What? 2 of them? Fakes should be destroyed. Without any more warning, Riku jumped, lunging for Sora. Whoa! He barely managed to block Riku's sword with the Keyblade, pushing it back. It's not a fake! Namine gave this to me! Sora! Gripping his wand, Donald ran closer, and Goofy followed. This is my fight! Stay out of the way! Sora told them. They exchanged glances and hung back. Gee, that's not a very nice way of putting it, said Goofy. Shut up, Riku snapped. I'm the one who's real. He knocked Sora back. They both had the same thought. But it was me. I made that promise. This time, Sora struck at Riku. My pendant's the real one! He felt the impact through the Keyblade. Riku was bowled over. Ugh! Riku winced, his shoulders heaving with huge breaths as he got to his feet again. Sora yelled his name, but Riku only turned his back and ran. Something tumbled out of his pocket and fell to the floor. Wait! Riku! Sora began to chase after him, but stopped short. There, beside his feet, was Riku's pendant. Isn't that Namine's good luck charm? Donald picked it up. It's just like mine. How did he get this? Donald handed it to Sora, and the moment he touched it, the pendant began to shine and sparkle. It changed, and then he was holding a single card. It turned into a card! Donald peered at it. The picture showed a small island surrounded by a wide blue sea. Gosh, I don't get what's going on here at all, said Goofy, his head tilted. All we can do is keep moving. Sora began walking to the door again, his fingers clutching the card tightly. Wait, come on, Sora! Donald shouted after him. Something's fishy about this! He paused and turned to look back slowly. How can the two of you have the same memory? Goofy's brow was furrowed in confusion. You can't both be right. Doesn't that mean someone's remembering it wrong? I'm wrong? Fine, then don't believe me, Sora snapped. There's no way I'm wrong. If anybody is, it's Riku. I can't be wrong. Aw, that's not what I meant, said Goofy. We were just kinda worried. Sora barely heard him. What if I am remembering it wrong? That's what Vexen was saying. I'm just a puppet who's thrown away a hero's heart. A puppet controlled by memory. Just like Riku. What was that supposed to mean? Then let me ask Namine. That should clear it up, Sora told them. Look, we don't have time to stand around in here. Let's go! He turned away from them again and kept walking, stamping his feet on the marble. A brief silence fell. Goofy broke it, asking sadly, Sora, what happened to you? Sora didn't even look back to shout, What's that supposed to mean? Well, you're getting real touchy when it comes to stuff about Namine. Isn't it kinda weird? Is he saying I'm crazy? Finally, Sora turned. After all, before we came to this castle, you didn't even remember what her name was. And now she's the only thing you talk about, said Goofy, looking terribly worried. It doesn't make sense. You gotta slow down and think about this stuff, Donald added. Think about what? What's the matter with you guys? You want me to abandon her? No, that's not it. Stuck, Donald looked at Goofy. Then do whatever you want. You guys can lay back and take a nap for all I care. Sora turned away from them once again. I'm gonna find Namine. He ran ahead to the door. I have to find her soon. I have to prove I'm right. And not Riku. I'm not wrong. I just know I'm not. Sora! Donald and Goofy both rushed to follow him. Jiminy Cricket poked his head out. Sora, that was no way to— Keep it to yourself! Sora cut him off and held the card up to the door. Hold on, Sora! Donald caught up to him. The door opened, but the moment Sora ran through, it closed again, right in front of Donald's beak. Sora! But he was in another world, and he couldn't hear them anymore. In the corner of the crystal ballroom, Namine still sat, staring at her lap. Or rather, at the sketchbook in it. The sketchbook was open to a drawing of a little island in a blue sea. Namine. In no hurry, Axel crossed the room to stand beside her. No one else was in the room. You're all that he's got left, he told her gently. The crystal ball showed Sora alone on the island. But there's nothing I can do. Not now. Namine hugged the sketchbook to her chest. If you don't stop this, no one will, said Axel. At that, she finally looked up. Now? How many times do I need to say it? You're the only one who can help him. But it's too late. Her voice was scarcely audible. Too late. It's already begun. You shouldn't give up just yet. Axel moved closer to her, looking into her face. Say, Namine, have you noticed?
Marluxia doesn't seem to be around.
What are you saying?
Just that there's no one here who would want to get in your way.
Namine stood up.
Just make it count,
he said. She gave him a tiny nod and ran out of the room. She would go to the islands. Sora's world. The Destiny Islands. Alone now, Axel laughed softly, and then louder.
Now this should be interesting. So it was worth all that trouble after all.
He went to the crystal ball to peer at the image of Sora.
Now then, Sora, Namine, Riku, Marluxia, Larxene. It's about time you gave me one hell of a show.
There was no one to hear his speech. Sora could hear the rush of the waves, over and over that soft, sweet sound. The blue sky and the sea that seemed to go on forever. This was the entire world. He squinted against the light that poured off the water. I'm not going crazy, am I? I know exactly where this is, Sora mumbled to himself, looking around. That seashore, it was a sight he knew. Yeah, this is our island, where Namine and I used to play together. He walked down to the beach. He played here every day, with Namine and Riku and... Hey! His friends called to him from the distance and came running. It was all just the same. But... Hi, Sora! The one who greeted him first was a boy holding a wooden sword. What you want to do today? Asked a grinning girl with hair that curled up at the ends. Beside her stood another boy, a little bit older, looking at Sora with his arms folded. But he couldn't remember their names. Hey guys, I'm glad to see you. What am I supposed to do now? The only ones I remember from the island are Riku and Namine. I can't believe I forgot my other friends' names. Before this all started, I spent my whole life here. What's happening to me? Sora was hanging his head. The others surrounded him, looking confused. What? Said the boy with the wooden sword.
We got food on our faces? The older boy joked with a lopsided smile.
Oh, please, Wakka, the girl retorted. Only you could be dumb enough to not notice food stuck to your face. So the older boy's name was Wakka, at least. He faced the girl with his hands on his hips.
Hey, whoa, Selfie. That's a low blow, yeah?
I don't know, Wakka, said the smaller boy. I think she might be on the mark.
Aw, not you too, Tidus.
Wakka pouted, making a fist. Right. Selfie and Wakka and Tidus. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sora nodded to himself. Wakka cocked his head at Sora.
You alright there?
Yeah, just talking to myself, Sora replied, managing a smile. He didn't feel like he could explain very well about his memory or Castle Oblivion. But Selfie, looking like she'd reached a conclusion all on her own, took a step closer to Sora and stared up into his face. I know, you're thinking about her again. Sora's eyebrows went up a little. Her? Who? Does Selfie mean...
Oh, I get it, Tidus added with a smug grin. Yeah, he's totally a zombie when she's on his mind. That would explain why he's acting all funny to us.
Wakka nodded knowingly. Selfie leaned over to whisper, I bet you want us to take a hike so you two can be alone, huh? I guess so, Sora mumbled, rather uncertain. Her. They must mean Namine. But what about Riku? Okay, we'll disappear for a while. Go find her, cowboy. Selfie smiled, a sort of grown-up smile, and moved out of his way. If he kept going this way, up ahead there would be a hut, and then the way to the little islet. We'll try to keep quiet while we spy on you. Tidus snickered, though he stepped aside, too.
Hey, Sora's serious, Wakka scolded him. Give the guy some room.
Tidus grinned. Just kidding. Right, it was always like this. Just everyone being silly together like this. How could Sora forget that? See you later, Sora, said Selfie. Taking that as a cue, Sora ran up the beach. The salty breeze, his feet kicking through the sand. He could remember it all. This was Destiny Island. Our island. No way he could forget. Across the shore of the inlet, there was a little cave, and through that, a wider beach. He ran over to the sand, into the hut, and up the stairs, and then the pier that led to the islet. See? I remember it all. He ran across the island, merging it together with his memories. There's the paupru tree on the islet where the three of us would watch the sunset. Riku and Namine and me. The sunset made the sea all red, and it was so pretty and peaceful. Sora ran down to the pier. At the end, there was a boy with silver hair who turned to him with a grin.
Hey Sora, what's the big hurry?
I know you! You're Riku! It had taken Sora a moment, because Riku was smiling now, just like in those days.
Gee, thanks for remembering me.
Riku laughed.
It's been, what, a couple of hours?
I wouldn't forget. Anyway, are you okay? Are you still under his control?
Under his control? What are you talking about?
Sora stopped short. So, this isn't the real Riku. He's just a fake. No, that's not right. This is the real Riku. The real one who wasn't being controlled. The Riku I remember.
What are you staring at me like that for?
You must be the Riku from my memories, Sora mumbled.
The Riku from your memories? Sounds like you're stuck in the land of make-believe. You should try growing up a little if you want to take care of her.
Sora's eyebrows twitched. Her? Her? Hey, speaking of her, he began, but a sound like an earthquake cut him off. Whoa, what's happening?
How should I know?
Riku retorted. Didn't this happen before? Sora thought. I don't know. I can't remember.
I'm gonna go warn the others.
Riku took off at a run. Then I should go and... As if telling him not to waste time talking, Riku turned back to yell.
I know. It's your job to look after her. Go, Sora.
Okay. Sora nodded and began to run again, too. Right. I have to protect her. That's my job. I promised. No matter what happens, I'll keep her safe. I said I'll protect Namine. Dark clouds had begun to cover the sky like a gathering storm. I have to protect Namine. Just as he was about to reach the pier, right before his eyes, it started to collapse. A gale was rising, shaking the cocoa yum trees. The island's gonna fall apart! Sora looked up and saw an enormous black shadow. It's that thing! The shadow roared and coalesced into a humanoid shape, which came straight for Sora. You again? Sora raised the Keyblade and blocked the swipe of its black claws. It felt like by now he must have fought this thing 100 times. The Keyblade shone brightly, cutting straight through the shadow. You can't beat me! Wounds of light streamed open from its darkness. I'm never gonna lose to you! Sora jumped high. I won't lose. I'm going to protect Namine. He brought the Keyblade down on the huge shadow's head and felt the impact in his arms. The thing screamed, and it disappeared, as if being absorbed back into the dark clouds overhead. Namine. His shoulders heaving as he tried to catch his breath, Sora looked around. Right, I have to protect her. Namine, where are you? He looked back at the islet again, where he had just been talking to Riku. He didn't think anyone could be there now, but there, right there, was a girl in white, her flaxen hair flying in the wind. Namine. She turned to look at him. Sora, you really came for me. The wind tearing through the island began to settle. It's you! It's really you! Sora walked toward her slowly, as if she might vanish again. I missed you. I missed you for so long. He wanted to run up and throw his arms around her. I've gone through so much just to see you. I know. Me too. Her smile was tinged with sorrow. But this isn't right. I messed up. I wanted to see you, but this isn't the right way. Namine looked down and turned away from him, staring out at the sea. The water and the sky alike seemed washed with ink, the color of darkness. Just moments ago, a gale had been raging, but now the sea was terribly calm. He couldn't even hear the waves. Namine? Sora began to take a step and halted. Something gave him the feeling that he mustn't go any closer to her. I was alone for so long. I just couldn't bear it anymore. Alone? Why? But weren't we always together? We were never apart. The good luck charm kept us connected. So I called out to your heart and had you come all the way out to this place. You came for me, and I'm so, so happy. But your heart, I had to. Maybe she had turned away from him because she was crying. Don't worry, said Sora. I'm here because I promised that I'd protect you, Namine. Sora, thank you. She turned to face him again. Right, no matter what happens to my heart, I promise to Namine. And that can't ever change. Right now, how many memories I lose, so long as I remember her, it'll be alright. But I'm sorry, she said, hanging her head. I'm not supposed to be in this picture. It's not you? Sora echoed, and then another voice spoke from behind him. That's true. When he turned, it was her. Namine? There were two of her. That isn't me. I'm not there. I don't really exist inside your heart. I don't exist in anyone's heart. He couldn't follow which Namine said what. He only knew it was her. She wasn't herself? She wasn't here? She was? What? Namine, what are you saying? What's gotten into you? He shouted at both of the Namines. Weren't we always together? But then you had to go away, so I came here to find you. They both looked sad. Was it really me you wanted to see? The one who spoke was the second Namine. He was sure of that. Of course it was. I know I've forgotten a lot of things in this castle, but never anything about you. Sora reached into his shirt and took out the good luck charm. Promise? I promise. It was Namine he'd been talking to. Look, you gave me this, didn't you? You still have it. Looking at the sea, she smiled. No, Sora, you can't trust me, shouted the second Namine. The first one, who was looking at the silent dark sea, turned away from him. Think, Sora, said the one who still faced him, gently urging. Think just one more time about who's most special to you. Call out to that shard of memory that glimmers faintly deep inside you. No matter how far away the light gets, your heart's voice will always reach it. Who's most special to me? Sora looked at the pendant in his hand. That's easy. It's you, not. Just as he began to say her name, the pendant shone with light. Huh? The yellow star-shaped fruit transformed into a different charm made of 5 pink seashells tied together. Those seashells, the Lhasa shells? I'm making them, so even if one of us gets lost, we'll make it back here, safe and sound. So the 3 of us will always be together. The voice came to him from somewhere. That's right. Sailors used to wear the Lhasa shell charms to make sure they'd come home. Who said that? Namine? But the good luck charm that Namine gave me was made out of a paopu fruit. Sora! One of them cried his name and he looked up. It was the Namine facing the inky sea, slowly turning toward him. And then it was a girl with red hair. Behind her, the blue water glittered. The sounds of waves washed over his heart. I know you will. Her lips moved, and Sora knew that was what she said. But in the next instant, bright light covered everything, and the island was back to normal. What just happened? Sora glanced all around. No one was here. The only sound was the soft rush of waves. Who was that? I can't remember her, but she feels so familiar. Yes, familiar. Like in that town in the twilight. Sora ambled over the beach. There was a little waterfall with a thicket of foliage beside it, and behind that there was a cave. Wait, Namine? Sora exclaimed. Where are you? He jumped into the bushes. A passageway opened up into a little cave. Light shone down from the ceiling. And in the back of the cave was a door that wouldn't open. There were doodles on the wall that he and Namine had drawn when they were little. Or they should have been. Sora put his fingertips to the wall. The girl on the drawing was the girl he'd just seen. Her hand held out a paopu fruit to the drawing of Sora. What's that mean? Sora picked up a pebble and added to the doodle, his own hand holding out a paopu fruit to her. If two people gave each other a papu fruit, their destinies would be intertwined. There was a story like that anyway. Light streamed into the cave. The far-off rushing of the waves was so calming. Namine? Someone important to me. No, wait. That's not right. Search for the pieces of memory hidden deep inside my heart. The memories of this island. The one who's most special to me. I know you will. The moment Sora heard that voice, the door began to glow, and then, surrounded by the light, Sora vanished from the cave. When he came to, it was in another of the same marble halls. Namine stood in the center of the room as if she'd been waiting for him. Namine! He ran to her and she smiled. They were quiet for a moment until Sora spoke again. Namine, it's not you! The person who's most special to me isn't you, is it? No. Namine shook her head, a tiny movement. The one you really care about, the one who is always with you, it's not me. It's someone else. Sora looked down. Someone else. That girl. But I can't remember her. I know she was really, really important to me, but I just can't remember. Who is she? Sora mumbled. I can't think of her name. If she's so special to me, why can't I remember? Namine shook her head again, sadly. Because I went into your memories, and... Let me explain this. A low voice interrupted Namine's, sonorous against the marble. Riku! With that cold expression, this was practically a different person from the Riku he'd met on the island. Plain and simple, he went on. Your memory is a train wreck. You're not the one who's meant to protect Namine. That's me. But here you are getting led astray by all those false memories. Riku lunged for him. No! Stop it! Namine screamed. Sora grunted and blocked Riku's blow with the keyblade. I'm the one who will protect Namine. Riku jumped back and then went for Sora again, his sword swinging with renewed momentum. Come on, Riku! We don't have to do this! Sora shouted, but Riku knocked him back hard. Sora! Cried Namine. Riku! Leaning on the keyblade like a crutch, Sora tried to get up, but the strength was gone from his legs. Looks like I win. Riku closed in on him and raised his sword, smiling. Riku, don't! He ignored Namine's protests and swung. You're through, you imposter! No! With Namine's shout, brilliant light filled the room. Riku made a small sound in pain and staggered. Sora made himself get up somehow and looked up at him. Riku? Riku took 2 or 3 unsteady steps and then sank to the floor. Riku! Riku! Sora rushed to help him up, but Riku's eyes were open and unseeing. He wasn't there. Riku! Sora's cries echoed on the cold marble walls.